Welcome to Story Time. Today, we're talking about dislocated shoulders. I've dislocated my shoulders a lot, and luckily, a few of those dislocations were caught on camera. To start off, let's take a peek at what it looks like and sounds like to crash your bike and pop your shoulder out.
Okay. We'll be in a second. Shoulder popped out.
Oh, it's kind of gross. Let's hear that again. Ugh, it's the crunch that really gets you. Now on this one, I was able to get my shoulder back into place by myself. But what if you can't? Well, for those of you considering getting into the hobby of shoulder dislocation, I've prepared a handy little list of do's and don'ts. Do number 1. Do have good friends, because if you're gonna have bad shoulders, you'd better have some good friends to put it back in for you. But be careful with this one. These good friends can also be the reason why your shoulder pops out, which brings me to don't number 1. Don't bounce on the trampoline with Kyle Strait.
Okay. Oh my God. He's out. This turned into a good video. Really did. Oh! Yeah, you're so fat you blew people's shoulders out. I'm so glad I got off that trampoline. Lifeguard. Yeah, we need a lifeguard. Sage, go get him. I'll be back. I'm gonna go get a lifeguard.
Do number 2. If you live next door to the lifeguard headquarters and your shoulder comes out, do ask them for help.
Excuse me, can you help me put my shoulder back in?
If they won't help, well, it's time to go to the hospital, but not so fast. Don't number 2. Don't go to the hospital while there's an evacuation in progress.
What's going on, Cam?
Pop my shoulder out. Let's go to the hospital, and there's a fire alarm, and it breaks the leaving. It's amazing. But we got a doctor who's down to do it in the parking lot, I think. Arm in my shoulder.
Shrek double bounced him and he got hurt. The funniest thing ever. There's like a little party going on out here.
Whoa! That's it! Yeah! Thank you! Yeah!
On the second thought, do number 3. Do go to the hospital during a fire alarm evacuation. Free medical treatment. Okay, so if your shoulder's been popping out for years, here's don't number 3. Don't just think it's magically going to heal itself. Go get surgery to fix it. That's exactly what I did at the beginning of 2012. And by the sounds of this next clip, I was really optimistic about the future.
I spent this last off season doing some much needed maintenance to my body, gave it a tune-up, got a aftermarket left shoulder installed, spent the 4 months that it takes to rehab. It's gonna be a great season, can't wait for it to start.
Oh, buddy, if you only knew what was coming. All right, here's me at the first big slopestyle event of the 2012 season with my brand new fresh left shoulder.
Oh, no! My right shoulder's out of socket.
Yep, you heard that right. The right shoulder this time.
Can you please put it back in? Okay. It's the right one. Can you put it in for me? Put it in.
Yeah.
Can you put it in fast?
Huh?
Please? Can you put it in fast? No, can you put it in now?
No. Too many cameras. No.
Stand, please. Yes.
Is it out?
My good one, yeah.
Is it out? Want me to put it back in?
Let's go.
Want me to do it? See you back.
Are you good at this?
Hold this.
This isn't like when you give me a haircut, right?
Okay, why was I so hesitant to let Darren put my shoulder back in? Well, once upon a time, Darren told me he knew how to give a haircut. That brings us to don't number 4. Don't let Darren Berrecloth give you a haircut.
Hold the shoulders. Ready?
Sure you know how to do this?
Sit down. It'll break less tendons if you get it back in now. You know the deal.
Break less tendons? Oh, gee.
All right.
Don't do anything dumb.
That's where the camera cut. Thank you, Darren, for the haircut and the shoulder. But in this case, a good friend wasn't enough. And I had to resort to a good German doctor and a healthy dose of anesthesia to get that one back into place. So from there, it was back to the start. My good shoulder became my bad shoulder, and it was rinse and repeat. Luckily, the cameras caught one more good dislocation vid for you. I spent the last 3 years hosting a show called Locals on Outside TV. I found myself in all kinds of interesting situations. Sometimes in my element, other times not so much. Things like ice climbing, kayaking, that's me upside down in a kayak, 3 seasons, 16 episodes, but not a single dull moment. So by now, you know I have a habit of popping my shoulders out of the socket. But while hosting this show, I developed another habit: tumbling down hills with a snowboard strapped to my feet. You can probably guess where this is going. It was only a matter of time before I combined my two habits. Cue the heliboarding footage. Telluride, Colorado, with pro skiers Greg Hope and Jaime Palmer. This would be one of those out of my element moments. Now, it started out real fun. In my element, ha ha, I'm in my element. Oh boy, out of my element. Wave my hands, real funny.
Out of the socket. Holy.
So when you find yourself a half a mile away from the helicopter landing zone with all your good friends at the top of the mountain and not a good German doctor in sight, do number 4. Do your damnedest to get that shoulder back into place by yourself.
I got it back in. Okay, I'm good. Oh, thank goodness. What a hell of a ride! Ow!
So there you have it, the story of my shoulders. Not all of my dislocations were caught on camera, but luckily I was able to dig a few of them up for this edition of Story Time. And hopefully this isn't a to be continued type of story. I had surgery on my right shoulder 2 months ago, and in 2 more months I'll be fully back in action. Thanks for watching, keep your shoulders where they belong, and I'll see you again next time I have another story worth telling.